Hi, Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute, 7everyminute.com, the podcast website by, for, and about reimagining your life. So thanks for joining me tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about, well, just about life and attitude in general. We've talked about that in the past few weeks. And, we talked about some specifics related to things kind of leading up to the US election. We're not going to talk about that anymore. I think we've covered that as much as it needs to be covered, maybe even more. But as it turns out, I'm in a different situation, as you can see, different background, different lighting. Sorry about that. And I'm in a different time zone too, which is why I was a little late. I apologize. But I came across two people as I was in the midst of traveling. I was traveling today, and I met two people just kind of out of the blue. I mean, I tend to meet people and talk to them as I go around anyways, which is it's a fun thing to do. You meet a lot of interesting people that way. And so I met two people at two different places in my journeys. And the first was a young woman, and she was returning from a trip to the Dominican Republic. Say, oh, great, another rich kid going out and taking a fun vacation that I can't afford, sort of thing. And actually, if you thought that, you'd be about 100% wrong. She is working for herself. She's actually a plumber, and loves it, meets people, and meets people very well, and has a really good open attitude when she meets people, so you really feel like you've known her for a while. And she does good plumbing work, so she does plumbing, meets people, they become friends, and opportunities arise out of that. And so that's how the Dominican trip happened, actually, was through someone she had met through work, and went down there. But she didn't just hang out on the beaches. This wasn't a beach trip. She was telling me, she goes, actually, she travels, and she's traveled a few different places now, but when she travels, her whole point of the travel is to actually meet people and have discussions with people and try and speak to them about what's going on in their lives and in her life, and how things are the same and different, and to learn from each other and really kind of spread knowledge around the world. And so she's been doing this for a couple of years, and so it was really kind of neat. And she has a podcast, and I should say she has a podcast in her head. It's called So Glad to Meet You, and it's still in the formative time. And we were talking about that, and I said that she has a big opportunity to make a really positive impact on people in a lot of different ways. One is that travel isn't just having to go out and spread your money around somewhere and prove how rich you are and privilege and all of that. That it could also be a mechanism to go meet people, change their lives, change your life, and to have a positive benefit on both sides of the equation. And another aspect of it was that here she is, she's fairly young, already working an atypical career path, and doing something that could inspire people not only to work an atypical career path, but also go ahead and realize that doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck doing menial jobs your whole time. That if you're passionate about it, and you can be passionate about any skill, that leads you to other things. So again, what we talked about before, looking for opportunity. When you look for opportunity, it tends to present itself because opportunity is around us at all times. So that was pretty interesting. And so she's talking about how she's kind of hesitant to start. It turns out her I believe it was her cousin. I don't think it was her sister. I think her cousin wanted to be in with it on her. I said, come on, now you have an accountability partner. You have no reason to put it off. And she said, well, maybe. And so give her a card, said if you need introductions to anybody, whatever, you should go ahead and absolutely start it. Because one of the worst things that can happen is, find yourself 70 years old still saying, I should do that one of these days. It's very minimal risk and tremendous upside. You can change the world in a positive way. And, that everyone has opportunity all around them. And she mentioned that without any prompting whatsoever. And that's one of the things we talk about a lot here, that everyone can make a change, even if it's a little teeny change. They can make a change, and by that, make a change in the world. So she went out and she went to the Dominican Republic, I think it was for a week, and met 3 or 4 people, and maybe there's no life-changing change right at that second, but she planted seeds in people's heads of kind of like, oh, these are other ways to live. Oh, here's, how women are treated over here. Oh, here's how your culture respects women over here. I didn't realize it was that way. There's a lot of things that can happen. So even if the smallest things can actually lead to really large opportunities for big positive change and big personal growth. And so that was really interesting. And so I get in the plane and I'm chatting, of course, with the guy next to me for a few minutes. And he didn't say he didn't want to talk, but it seemed like he had other things to do. So then his buddy showed up and sat down on the other side of me. And we started talking. It turns out he was actually pretty interesting, because he actually worked in finance. So immediately you think, and in New York City finance, so you're thinking, money grubber, doesn't care about anything, whatever. Not at all the case, actually. I mean, from the short time we spent together, a couple hours, but it really seemed that he was very interested in finding where change could make a positive change and where that attitude can be used to spread it around so that it affected other people, not only in your circle, but by starting something in your circle, that it would affect people in a positive way outside that circle. And so basically, well, he had obviously, because he was in finance and it was investment, he had a great handle on not only future financing options and planning and all that stuff, but also retirement. And we got to talking about the whole point of 7 every minute, 7 baby boomers retiring every minute. And he said, yeah, they get an awful lot. And it's just there's this wave of people coming in suddenly concerned about retirement. Of course, that's one of the things that we talk about and we're going to emphasize more in the future. But it went beyond that, because then he started talking about how it allows him to kind of give back a little bit and help other people outside of, it's not just work and putting together the right portfolio or helping people plan with their financial planning stuff, but by doing that, you're helping them live a better retirement life. So you don't have to be a money grubber. You can do things ethically and you can make a change in people's life, and then it turns into a real win-win situation. But and that allows him to give back while he's actually working for himself. But he's an interesting guy because he came from a really large family, he said. And I won't mention specifics right now, only because I just don't want to give them away, because they both he and his buddy might be listening to the podcast. But it was a large family, and he's kind of in the middle of it. He's the oldest boy in the family. But he said he also had some autistic siblings. And so this is where I said the whole giving back stuff came from, because he was always involved in their care and helping with them, and then setting up structures and processes and things around that so that other people could care for them better. And eventually a group formed in the area, and now there's a lot better care overall. And maybe it wasn't a direct outshoot of what he did, maybe it was, but even if it wasn't, still by giving that model, other people could see it, and realize that there's a better way to do this than the way you've been doing it. The way this guy is doing it, Tom is his name, the way Tom's been doing it is we could do that too. And if we all did it together, we'd probably come up with a better way to do it. So again, here's somebody doing something that you would think, you're caring for your brothers and sisters or whatever. How life-changing can that be? Well, it turns out it can be very life-changing if you really do it with the right perspective and the right expectation. So now thinking back on the past couple of weeks, which we've talked about in the past couple of weeks, there was a lot of energy being spent kind of arguing and blaming others and moaning and wailing and saying, I can't believe people are acting this way. And it was a lot of energy. I mean, people were spending better parts of their days on this whole thing. And don't misunderstand me, I'm not talking about the election per se and electioneering or working for a party, either party or any party, just complaining about other people. That's the energy I'm talking about. So imagine if instead that all that energy had been spent instead on trying to really solve differences. Maybe something would have happened to really kind of move people together and move us forward with some sense of unity in a common direction. I mean, it's a lot to ask for, but I saw a lot of people saying a lot of things that they could have said differently. And if they had said differently, might have led to having a discussion rather than an argument. Two people might have learned about each other and why they were passionate about their viewpoint instead of pushing each other away. And in some cases, I suspect probably damaging friendships, very old friendships in a couple of cases. So as we've talked about a lot, all these things, we always have the decision, the ability rather, to take a decision one way or the other in any particular situation. Just meeting these two people, it did remind me that opportunity and inspiration is absolutely everywhere. It really is. I actually met the woman on the shuttle bus between two terminals and just got to talking and realized, oh, that was interesting, and got a little bit more information about her, and then saw her at the, because it turns out she was on the same flight that I was, talked to her in the waiting area for the flight. There was no huge amount of energy expended by either one of us. The only thing it took was a little bit of risk on both our parts to talk to somebody else, and a little bit of willingness to put ourselves a little bit at risk to try and understand the other person. Neither one is a huge thing. If it didn't work out, kind of, oh well, it's too bad. But we would have had an opportunity, but did not. But it did work out. Now we both have a different perspective. We both have things that have, quite frankly, changed our lives. Like I said, talking to these people, I realized again, it reminded me again, a couple of things have happened in the past few days about this, that truly inspiration is absolutely everywhere if you're open to it. I could have sat in the bus and not talked to her, or she could have gotten on the bus and just put her head down and talked to nobody. She was actually talking not just to me, but 3 other people, and everybody was laughing. It was all a good time. She was a very good person. Like I said, she's a super positive energy person. So opportunity is always everywhere, and maybe big opportunities and maybe little opportunities, but you can't take advantage of them if you don't take a little teeny risk and try and move forward with it. So, like I talked about, we all have the ability to go one way or another. In the whole political discussion thing, people more often than not elected for the anger route. They could have just as easily elected for the unity route and really talk things out. When you meet people anywhere, you could just do pleasantries. Hi, good morning. How are you? You go half a step further. Hey, how you doing? Like that bag you're carrying. That's really nice. It's probably nice to travel with. And start a little bit of an open, talk a little further. Or if you ever talk to me, how I am, I tend to push. Not badly, but push a little bit. Kind of, that's really interesting. Tell me more about that. What's your passion? And when you do something like that, it gives somebody else the opportunity to share their passion. Go figure. And when that happens, then that's when the magic has the opportunity to happen, because you can both learn about each other and learn a lot more about the world, and maybe bring your both yourselves forward to a place better than you had expected it to be. So that's really it. Like I said, the choice is always ours to make, which direction we want to go. Again, I apologize for slightly different digs, different lighting, different everything. If I turn the camera around, you think it's pretty funny what we have for lighting right now. It's I carry those little round battery lights used for such circumstances and emergencies like this. And that's what the deal is, and they work okay. So thank you so much for joining me. As always, remember all the wars that are going on in the world, and the other, there's a lot of just divisiveness. Same thing. There's a lot of people who decided they don't want to work with each other, but rather fight with each other. And not only in Ukraine, where we actually support, and then with all the natural disasters that happen, which is World Central Kitchen, we support them as well. But so we have UKR7.com, which is projects related to supporting the people of Ukraine. World Central Kitchen, WCK.org. Those are the ones who typically you'll see them after a natural disaster happens, mostly feeding the people, trying to use the local feed sources. We've talked about this. If you can and you're able, those are great places to donate. In my area, I know there's a lot of charities always looking for some help, that's another great place to donate. If you don't want to donate or you're not able to donate, you can just make a huge change in life just by doing something simple, by meeting somebody and saying, good morning. Just something that simple. It could ripple through and maybe make 100 people's day better just by that one little action. So that's it. And remember, we always talk about that one of the best ways to care for yourself is to care for others. Changes your attitude, brings it from inside yourself to outside yourself, changes your whole perspective on the world, and is a much better perspective, in my opinion. So thanks for joining me tonight. As always, live the best life that you can. And if you live your life to the fullest by following your own dreams, once you get that vision in your head and you start working towards it, if it's a good vision that's really brings a positive aspect to the world, you'll find that a lot of good things go on in your life. So thanks again. As always, 7 Every Minute, 7everyminute.com. Live the best life that you're able because it will bring you more happiness. Thank you. Bye-bye.